Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The COVID-19 pandemic has halted efforts to revive the ancient Ngqu language. One of the teachers of the language says parents are reluctant to send their children for language lessons, and the last lesson they gave were more than 5 months ago. They believe the best way to teach the language is to have regular sessions. They've also been looking for funding to record the lessons and the language and try the digital approach. SABC News Ulrich Hendricks has more on the story. A very good morning to you, Ulrich. What are the teachers saying about their challenges in trying to roll out lessons for the Ngqu language?
Hi, good morning, Desiree. Well, Ngqu was dealt a severe blow by the COVID-19 pandemic. 2 of the native speakers who could speak the Ngqu language fluently died during from the start of the lockdown. So now there's only 2 people who can speak the language fluently. Of course, the lessons that were done here at Uppington also had to be stopped because the schools were closed, but also because parents within the vicinity or parents who normally brought their children for the lessons feared that there might be infections during these lessons. We're actually very fortunate today that this morning, when we got here, it's actually the first lesson that they restarted of the Ngqu language. We've got about 20 learners that are being taught here. Of course, most of them are wearing masks. You can see some of them from as young as 5 and up to their teens. David van Wyk is the teacher. David, if you can just come this way. David van Wyk is a teacher of the Ngqu language. David, tell us, what impact did the lockdown have for the Ngqu lesson?
During this lockdown, we couldn't have classes for the children. We didn't want to expose them to the virus. But the impact on the language is that we are running against time. And with the limited resources that we have and with the limited speakers that is remaining now, it is really just running against time. So.
In terms of lessons for the children, what do you find best? I mean, we've got 6 months that you haven't been given lessons, and you told us earlier that the more regular, the better.
Yeah, because the language is not a language that so it's not in public. So the children are not exposed to the language on a frequent basis. I think if we can have more regular classes, then they will learn the language faster. Like right now, because of the lockdown, these children that were here, that I already taught the basics of the language, they forgot because they are not dealing on a daily basis with the language. So I have to start afresh now.
And in terms of digital platforms, to record the language for the future? It is a good initiative. I already started during the lockdown when I couldn't give classes. I already started a Facebook page, Sakaka Ngqu, where I invited people, and I started in June, and there's already over 600 people on the page. So I think that is the way forward. But unfortunately for our communities is poor. They are poor and they doesn't have the access to the digital platforms. So that might be a challenge. In terms of literature, writing of books, and recording video or audio, in an effort to restore, to keep the language for future generations. How far are you with that process?
There are a lot of research material that are it is with the researchers and linguists in their possession, and also at universities. Now, I think if we could collect all those research material, then we can develop learning materials from that. That is one of the goals of the New Language Authority, to gather all those information so that we can develop learning material, write books and stuff. But for now, we have a problem with the orthography. There's kind of a division about the orthography, which one to use and stuff. So we are embarking on having a workshop so that we can workshop the orthography and or review the orthography and so that we can decide on the way forward or which one to use in future. So yeah, that is so important that we need to have this workshop so that all the learning material and books and stuff will depend on the orthography that we decide on.
Thank you very much. That's David van Wyk. He's, of course, a new language teacher here at Uppington. Of course, quite an interesting language. Ngu is, of course, the native language of the Komani San. It was previously thought to be extinct until a professor came and actually found that at that stage, about 2 decades ago, there were still 8 people who could speak it fluently, and they did rigorous tests and found that the language is still amongst us. And now, with only 2 language speakers left, it's still facing extinctions. Of course, various people, David, Oma Katrina Yeso, one of the matriarchs of the language, of course, this past decade trying to do their best to get the next generation of people to actually speak the language and to keep it alive for the next generation. Desiree?
Thank you so much for that very insightful conversation, Ulrich.